Is Europe at the tipping point in the climate crisis, or will be this only a momentum and then everything will be changed to normal? Hello and welcome. I'm the European, and this is Beside News. And in this um, show, we will talk about topics which are very often in the mainstream, and then we will ask why the newsmaker presented, or is this content clickbait? Are they fake news, or are these news based on opinions? Or also we will represented news in the mainstream media, because we think that it's important that you also know about topics which are underrated and nobody knows it, but they are happening, for example, events or other stories. So yeah, let's move on now to our daily topic. It's the heat waves and the high temperatures and the escalating climate crisis this year on the European continent. You saw this in the news some days ago that the island in Greece, Rhodos, is burning, so that more than thousands of tourists must be evacuated. And it was a very catastrophic situation for the Greece and for the tourists. And now it's also a catastrophic situation for the tourism industry there in Greece on this island. So yeah, is this a tipping point in Europe's climate crisis? You know, the climate crisis is affecting the whole planet, but also we see this year very, very well, that the climate is changing, and also Europe is seeing that and feeling that, because we have high temperatures all around the Mediterranean Sea, not in the north of Europe. But this is very interesting, because here in northern Europe, like in Sweden or Norway or northern Germany, you have temperatures below 20 degrees, and in the south you have temperatures below 40 degrees. And this is very, very scary, because the situation is then that there's no rain but here, because you have the gap of 40 and 20 degrees between these areas. So like in Switzerland or in middle Germany or northern Germany or in the Netherlands or in Great Britain, and so on, so on. So you know the point, that the problem is that in the southern regions it will be hotter and hotter every year, and also this year, because there's no change. And why is there no change? Because of some things. For example, the jet stream. I hope you know it. So you know something about this global thing, that the jet stream is about the northern hemisphere, and it's like a border between the Arctic, and so the North Pole, and the continent, like Europe, Asia, and North America. So the jet stream is saving us from the very cold temperatures and climate from the Arctic. So it's like the wall Donald Trump will build or want to build in the border from the United States to Mexico. So the jet stream is this for us, because when the jet stream doesn't exist, then we have in Europe, for example, temperatures in the winter of minus 50 degrees, and the same would be happen in the United States in the south, so like in Miami or California, you know what I mean. But because of the jet stream, this is not happen. But now we have the climate crisis and the climate change, and also the jet stream is changing because he's disappearing. So the problem for Europe will be that the winter will be colder. It would be colder, because there's no doubt about this, that this will happen. So for you, it's very interesting that Europe will be the only continent worldwide which will be in future colder. But this is not good for us here in Europe, because then you have in the winter temperatures like we have in the Arctic today. So at the North Pole. So this is the very, very bad. But why we have today here this high temperatures in Europe? Because of another thing. Because if you don't know it, we have around the Earth weather cells. They are so called because they are in some region, they will control the air. So we have the jet stream, and it's called the polar jet stream. And then we have the subpolar or subtropical jet stream. And this is the jet stream, or in weather circulation around the equator. And this is also like a border between the Sahara and the tropical zone, so that the temperatures and climate in the tropical zone cannot change to the Middle East or Mediterranean climate in the other zone. So these, so the polar jet stream and the tropical jet stream are holding temperatures in some regions so that there's the change of aerosols and winds and so on and so on. But the problem is that also the tropical jet stream is collapsing. So this means that also very hot temperature will be moving, for example, to Europe. And this is happening today. So because of these high temperatures in Greece are because of this collapse of these weather cells around us in Europe. And also this is happening in the US because they have more hurricanes and other tropical storms. Also in Asia, you see this also days before we were producing this video, that there was a very big typhoon around China, and this is happening because all of these weather cells are collapsing, so they will or doesn't exist and will not exist in future. We don't know if this will happen, but the trend is very dramatically. So this means also for today that we must do something to stop this process. We're gonna build walls that they can stop the heat or the cold temperatures, because
when one is
we
put
cannot
out,
build
another
walls which are
starts.
higher than
Thousands
50
of
kilometers.
acres of
This
land
is not
have so
realistic.
far been.
But what we can do is to fight against the climate change so that we will go greener and that we will work with our environment. Like city-states like Singapore are a good example for that. That they say, okay, let's make our city green, that we can live with the nature together. Because this is very good thing for us. Because we see it now in the Mediterranean region that they have wildfires, forest fires. You can say also that all these forests are burning because of one thing. They are monocultures. So there's one tree culture very often and for so much hectares. So this is affecting very worse when there's a fire, because all of these trees are affected by high temperatures. So they are not growing the right trees. So this is there a very big problem. So that things like happen on Rhodos in the last weeks are will happening also in other countries, like in Spain. This is happening real now, today, and also in Italy. So this region must be changed also their thinking about how we can grow our forests. And the best thing is to stop all this processing, and that the collapsing of the weather cells is to work for a better future when we will work green, and not when we ignore this problem like some people also doing it now. So let's do something, and the best thing is to start by ourselves. Thank you very much for joining in. I'm the Real European, and this was Beside News.